For the smaller jobs we do, where we need a lighter mower, we've been using for the past few years a Web 19-inch mower, but it's really a domestic mower, and it's past its sell-by date. The engine has worn a holes in the plastic deck, and it's really beyond repair. I've already sorted the rear roller out on it a couple of years ago, where the roller went, and I just filled it with cement rather than spend 140 quid on all the internals, and I don't need a split rear roller, and that cured the problem, but it's really had it now. So we decided to look for a replacement, and the cheapest one we could find that fitted the bill was this from Cobra. It comes in at 500 quid, and it's a 20-inch mower, and it's got a rear roller and 4-speed, and we thought we'd give this a go and see how we get on with it. For our bigger jobs, I've got an old Bang Pro 53, but it comes in at 63 kilograms dry, and this one is just 47 kilograms dry, and that's extra 20 kilograms. That's a bag of cement, and it's just too much for my wife, really. If she can't use the Pro, I won't let her use the Bang. It's too heavy. I use it for the longer jobs where they've got a longer stripe and less turning, but the smaller jobs where there's a lot of turning and getting through gates and onto different grass areas, we need something lighter. And this really fits the bill, I think. Now, obviously, there are a lot more expensive machines than this, and more professional ones and heavy duty ones, but we don't actually use this very often, probably a couple of times a week for a morning, so it's probably just a day a week we're using this. And when it comes down to cost, I didn't think it was really worth spending out a couple of grand on a pro mower just for that one day. Because I'm hoping to get a few years out of this, and when you look at the actual running costs and the buying cost of that's quite a lot of money that I've got to get back off of that one day's work just during the growing season. And for me, a couple of £1,000 is a lot of money. That's a very big investment for me. The other thing is spares. I mean, I'm assuming the first thing that will go on this big time will be the gearbox, and a new gearbox for this is just £74, and that's a viable repair. But when you're talking sort of £250, £300 for a gearbox for some of the more pro machines, then that's quite a big amount of money just to keep the thing running. They come pretty much fully assembled. You just put the handles on and assemble the grass box and fill it with oil, and away you go. One nice feature with it does come with a fuel tap, so when you store for the winter you can run it dry and you've not got fuel in the carburettor. And to start it, it's just got this one lever where you put it on full choke and then put it on run, and that starts after a couple of pulls and you're off. Oh, one thing I did like about it, it's got 4 speeds, because I do find with some of these motors, if they've just got 1 speed, they're either too slow or a bit too fast if you've got long grass. Now, this has got a 6-stage cutting height lever that goes from 17mm to 75mm. There's no blade brake, so I've sort of tied the thing up to keep it running when I'm emptying the box. A bit naughty, shouldn't really do that. But it's got a high lift blade on it, and it really does whack it in the box. Obviously this is dry. One thing I did find with the box, when we first got it, for the first couple of uses, it fell off sometimes if the ground was a bit bumpy, but it stopped doing that now, so I don't quite know what that was. Now, as I said about the weight, it's heavy enough to put quite a nice stripe on. Maybe not on this lawn here, because this is a bit of a rough lawn, but it does put a good stripe, and it's got a steel roller, And it's not one of these silly split rollers, which I don't particularly like. There's just lot of extra effort, and I could never tell the difference whether it's got a split roller on it or not, really. And it's just more things to go wrong. So I was quite pleased to see this has just got one single roller with one single drive point. As I say, one thing I do like, it does whack it in the box, and if you look at the blade on it, it's got quite a big wing on it. It's quite a sort of high lift blade, and I haven't really, I don't really use it in the wet because I don't cut grass if it's wet. But obviously there comes a time when you've got sort of dewy grass, but our grass is never really gets really that long, maybe in May. But we don't use it for clearance jobs. I only do contract maintenance, so we've always got control of how often the grass is cut. I'm not going to be using it for jobs like where they say, oh, well, we haven't cut it for 3 months. Can you come and sort of? Well, I don't do those type of jobs. So, but it's not the sort of mower I would use for a clearance anyway. I would use something four-wheeled. I wouldn't certainly use a roller because anything that it doesn't cut the first sweep is going to lay flat. Another thing I did like about the mower is that it's got the fold-down handles, but it's got these sort of clips on the side rather than a bolt through, and you have to screw it up to do it. And it's got multiple adjustment of where you can have the height that you can have the handle very quickly, very much like the Bang system, where it's just sort of a cog and you select the height of the handles round on the cog, and it's just simply a flip of the handle, and it's a flip of this little catch, and you've got the thing is up. Now, one thing I did find with this mower, I thought for the guys who don't put something over the dead man's when they're operating it, you've got to restart it every time you open the box, empty the box, and sometimes it was a little bit tricky to restart. Most times it started fine, sometimes it needed a couple of pulls. Personally, I don't do that. I hold the dead man's hin when I'm mowing. When I come to empty the box, I just slide a thing over the dead man's, and it's so it just keeps running. I've had too many mowers where I'm halfway through the job and they won't restart for whatever reason. Once the machine's running, I just leave it running. Obviously, we don't advise people to do that, but as I say, with all of these four-stroke mowers, sometimes if it's a bit hot or whatever, you empty the box, you're a little bit longer than normal, and you come back to them, they won't restart. But that's the beauty of a blade brake. I've got a few with the blade brake on, but obviously with the blade brake you have got extra maintenance costs, because when the blade brake goes, you've got that to replace, but also it's things like the belts. If you get a drive belt go, you've got to unhook all the blade brake cables and what have you. It's a bit more of a pain to replace a drive belt with a blade brake, but that's pros and cons of that type of thing. And now I'm sure there'll be people who watch this who say, well, you can get a much better mower for this price or a much better mower for that price or whatever, but it really does come down to price. And if you're limited with your budget, I think this machine is a good option, certainly in the under £500 bracket. To see how this fares in terms of economy, I've really got to wait another couple of years, but so far I'm very happy with the machine, and it's all that I could have expected and a bit more.